Good morning, everyone, or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are right now. And thank you for joining our webinar. We're super happy to see you all here. Today's topic is all about our AI-powered demographics feature. This webinar is recorded, and you will receive a link to the recording as well as these slides tomorrow. So you can, for example, share them inside your organization. And if you have any questions at any point, please write them to the chat and we'll get to them at a suitable time or then more towards the end. Let's have a look at our agenda. So what we have in store for you guys today. First, we'll talk about how using AI can impact customer experience, then about the value of AI-driven demographics. We'll also take a look at how our demographics feature actually works and how to read that data, as well as talk about the privacy aspect regarding the usage of this feature. And we'll go forward. So I'm Nilufer Piirainen, just Nilu for short. I'm the head of customer training and enablement here at HappyOrNot, and I'm joining you guys from our headquarters in Finland.
Hi, I'm Liz Snope. I'm the customer enablement and training manager here at HappyOrNot, and I am joining from Florida, where our US office is located. So we wanted to jump in by talking a little bit about AI for CX, which is a really important up-and-coming topic that we're seeing being discussed more and more as the use of AI is proliferating. And I pulled this great quote from an article from the Harvard Business Review, talking about getting that competitive edge in terms of optimizing customer experience. So we're now at the point where competitive advantage will be based on how a company uses AI to shape, customize, and optimize the customer journey. So we wanted to start out with a poll because we were curious. Let's see if we can launch it. Can we see it? So if this is something you're already doing, so AI or not, keeping with the Happy or Not theme, are you using AI in your work or operations already? Okay, awesome. I love that we're getting a lot of participation in the poll as well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end so you can see the results. So we are seeing that we're about half and half. So far, half of about 7 of us are saying yes, and 6 are saying no. So I like that we've got a nice mixed bag here. Some people that are bringing in some background information, and then some people that are totally fresh with it. Great. Thank you for participating. So what we're going to be focusing in on today specifically is how we can pull AI in to help support and improve understanding customer feedback. At Happy or Not, that's what we do. That's what we specialize in. We are obsessed with customer experience. We're all about looking at the customer feedback and analyzing it. It's essential for building that relationship with your customers. And when you're able to use AI, specifically with what we're going to focus on, which is in facial recognition, you're able to help support make even better data-driven decisions to improve your customer experience. So specifically, we're going to be looking at machine learning and how it can use that image processing to help add context to customer feedback. We're going to be looking at how you can collect that customer information while still maintaining anonymity, which is key for getting authenticity in your feedback. And we're going to be looking at how we can use that information for demographics to analyze that demographic data and help target your key customers. So since we had a good group of people sharing that they use AI, I'm just curious, I wanted to ask if you could share in the chat, what are some ways that you've already used AI in customer experience? Okay, I love this. Using it for marketing material, that's fantastic. Using ChatGPT for helping with external communication. I use that as well. I'm not going to lie.
Same here. Same here.
Using ChatGPT for better communication, redacting blog articles. These are great. So I love that we have this background of ways we're already figuring out how to better communicate, but perhaps this is a new idea in using AI and machine learning, not only for better communication, but for better analysis of our feedback and data. So what we're going to move on to next is talking a little bit about this new feature, which is HappyOrNot demographics feature. And to do that, we're going to bring in our resident head of operations here in the Americas, overall the VP of operations, Mike Bradford. Hi, Mike.
While Liz is doing that, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Mike Bradford. I've been with HappyOrNot for about 5 years. VP of operations here for Americas. I also oversee sales in Delray Beach, Florida at our US headquarters. I'm very excited to talk to you about what we've been doing with demographics. Unfortunately, you won't get to watch me talk. You can just look at my picture and imagine how all the smiling I'm doing. So demographics, every company, whether you're talking about TV studios that worry about ratings and their target demographic, everybody has a target demographic that they want to focus on, or they want to make sure that they're making happy. And what we now have the ability to do is measure the level of the experience that your target demographic is having. So basically, the Smiley Touch, you're able to get the immediate interaction with the customer, asking them how their experience was. You can get the why behind that experience. You can get open text comments, and now you can identify what demographic that person is in. So a quick story regarding a customer that we've been working with recently. This is a large convenience store chain with hundreds of locations, and they've been going through a massive rebranding project where they're rebranding, they're refacing their stores, redoing their parking lots, updating their gas pumps, changing the food quality, upgrading basically everything about their entire organization. And the driving force behind that is actually to make sure that they're the they're the stop in the middle of the week for moms and women in general that need to do that midweek grocery shop. They've struggled in that area in the past. It's no secret, there's often some convenience stores that everybody's driven by that maybe we've tried to avoid. We go to the nicer ones. We go to the Wawas or the Buc-ee's, or the ones that are really well maintained and that are bright and welcoming and have great food. And this particular brand wanted to kind of follow suit with that, and they wanted to make sure that they were making the customers that were coming in that were women happy with all their changes. They spent a lot of money on upgrading all their organization, and they can use demographics now to make sure that investment is paying off in the way that they hoped. The other thing that is quite useful with demographics is and I think we're going to get into this a little bit later, is parsing out, certain groups of people. One of the challenges with HappyOrNot, because it's so convenient for people to use and easy for people to use, is sometimes have kids using it. And in certain circumstances or certain customers, that actually is a good thing, and that's what we're looking for. But in other instances, it isn't. And now you can actually take that information that maybe the 10-year-old is providing that you don't really want to know or isn't helpful. You can actually parse that information out and focus on who you are actually most concerned with in your business having a great experience. And that's kind of what I had for us today. Any questions or anything else you'd like me to expand on, Liz or Neela?
No, I think that's a perfect description. And as questions pop up, please keep sharing them in the chat, because we're definitely going to address everything and have an FAQ section at the end. So thank you so much for sharing, Mike, and thanks for being patient with the technical difficulties. We appreciate you.
No problem.
Thank you. All right, so how demographics works. So first off, demographics is an add-on feature. So it's available for our professional package customers for the Smiley Touch device. And information on all about that, how to enable this and all of that can be found from the material we send you afterwards. So Liz, we can go on with the slides. Thank you. So the demographics feature works so that the Smiley Touch detects a face and creates a vector that is then analyzed by the AI software we use. And this is, of course, an interesting topic, which Liz will talk about in a bit more detail later on. When you want to start collecting demographic data with your Smiley Touch device, the lighting and therefore placement of the device is very, very important in order to get good quality data. So make sure there's no bright lights directly above the device or behind the feedback giver, and also that the lighting is consistent, meaning that there's no flicker or movement. And it's of course important to check that the placement is as ideal as possible otherwise too, so you get maximum response rates. And now we'll actually have a demo over in analytics side, and I'm going to change to another screen. That's why I'm going to be looking to another direction here. So let's start. Now we are in analytics finally, and we'll have a little demo here. So we're specifically in the details page, as you can see here. So this is where all of that demographic data is located. I will first now show you this new filter that we have. This appears here when you have the demographics feature enabled. So this is a drop-down menu, and you're able to select different segments you want to be looking at. So we have the age, and then we have the gender. The segments in green are selected and shown in the report, and then the segments in black are not. So you can, for example, look at all demographic data and maybe deselect the unknown in both age and gender categories. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. The unknown, by the way, means that the Smiley Touch didn't detect demographic data of the feedback giver, but the unknown can also include feedback given with Smiley products that don't support the demographics feature. So like Smiley Terminal or Smiley Digital, which will be also shown as unknown if you're looking at multiple devices at the same time, or feedback from multiple devices. So let's scroll down a bit and take a look at the demographics widget. I'm gonna make it a bit bigger. There we go. So with the widget, you can very easily see at a glance the demographic data your Smiley Touch has collected. The widget shows data based on what demographic segments you've selected, as I showed previously. In the all view, which is here by default, you can see the gender as well as the age for selected filters. In the age view, you can see obviously the age estimation, and then in the gender view, you can see how your feedback givers are divided between gender. The demographics, which it makes it easy for you to detect specific segments and how happy or unhappy your feedback givers in those segments are. And then of course, dig deeper into the reasons, why, when, and where. And I'll actually share an example from our customer, which is a fitness center and gym. And with the help of the demographics feature, they were actually able to see that a considerable amount of men in the age group of 45 to 54 were for some reason unhappy with their experience. And that, of course, caught their attention, and they dig deeper then into the data in analytics to find out why. So let's filter out those other segments. So 45 to 54, and then male. So now we're looking at those categories only. So we can see now how the widget changed, and we can see here that yes, there's a considerable amount of unhappy and very unhappy responses coming in from this segment. They then noticed through the hourly distribution, so if we go here, that okay, most of these unhappy responses came during the morning hours. So we can see here from like 6 a.m. until 10, 11 a.m., there were a lot of unhappy responses. And then further, they went down to see the pain points. And as you can see here, one aspect is clearly taking the #1 spot. So probably a very good possible reason why they are unhappy. So that is, of course, the cleanliness of the place. So they had a lot of customers that were men and in the age group of 45 to 54 coming into the gym during the morning hours, and that segment wasn't happy with the cleanliness of the gym. They have now actually taken action and added more cleaning the evening before each morning. So action has been taken and they are monitoring the effect. This is, in my opinion, a very good and clear example of how they were able to detect their unhappy but very, very important customer segment, find out the reason why they were unhappy, and then take action accordingly. So demographic data indeed helps you identify how your target audience feels and can offer very important and insightful data regarding your most important target audiences. You can also export these demographic charts if you go to export and choose charts as images, select your preferred file type and demographics, and you can export them here. And also, lastly, I want to mention another cool thing. So if your Smiley Touch device supports the camera functionality and you're a professional package customer, you can actually use our filter out repetitive feedback feature, which basically screens out feedback from those customers who return to give feedback again within a 15-minute time frame. So when you combine our repetitive feedback filtering with demographics, you can very effectively filter out unknown, selected age groups such as kids, as Mike mentioned, and spam. So this allows you to get even more detailed and specified data from your target audiences. And you can also learn more about this from your Happy or Not rep or then from our support. Okay, over to you, Liz.
All right. Thank you for sharing, Nilu. That was really informative in terms of the demo. And we got some great questions coming in. So what I'm going to do is dive right into talking about the privacy aspect of this, because I know this is something we're already seeing questions on. And then we'll leave the last couple minutes for answering those questions and any others that pop up. So going down to protecting privacy, because I know that this is a central area and concern that comes up whenever we talk about anything with facial recognition or using a camera. So we want to assure you that using the camera in the Smiley Touch for this demographics feature, as well as for the filtering repetitive feedback filter, is compliant with all privacy laws, and we'll talk about that in our FAQ. But it also is not something that actually is recording, taking any kind of photography, collecting, storing, or sending any identifiable images of your customers. So instead, this is really where that amazing AI feature comes into play. What the camera does is scans the face for specific vector data points that are analyzed locally against hundreds and thousands of other faces and pieces of data that has been fed to the machine learning. It analyzes those vector data points to identify the age and gender of the feedback giver. So this is, I saw a question about how are we finding out the gender. This is, it's not a question that we're asking them. It's not included in the survey flow. It's captured quickly and easily without even asking the customer through the demographic feature if it's turned on through the camera. So it uses that AI detection to pull those vector data points. And then the only thing that is shared to the analytics system is the statistical information about that feedback giver. So nothing identifiable, no images are taken, the feedback still remains completely anonymous. And that's how we're able to get that valuable insight while still complying with important rulings like the GDPR and still protecting the anonymity of the feedback givers. So I wanted to wrap up by answering some questions. So let me go ahead and open back up the chat. But we have some common answers here. So for instance, and we got this question about being permitted to use facial recognition. This is GDPR compliant. And GDPR, Milu might be better equipped to talk about GDPR because it's coming from the European side, but it's even more stringent laws in the EU about data protection and privacy, even more stringent than are in the US, and we are compliant with those laws. So is there anything?
Yeah, and I think also it's very important to understand that it's a vector image, so it's not a photograph like Liz said. So there's nothing in that sort ever in the machine, in the device. So it's a vector image, and it basically calculates, where your cheekbones are, where your eyes are, where your eyebrows are, and all of that data is used to then analyze that, okay, is this feedback giver female or male, and in what age category does the AI think that they belong to? So it's a very enhanced calculation process that happens behind the scenes, basically. So it has nothing to do with an actual photograph or anything like that.
Yeah. And we got another great question, which is, how accurate is this? What percent of the respondents are we able to get accurate information from? That really, that number can fluctuate based on based on the fact that in your use case, you're following best practices. But for a company that is doing what they need to do in terms of placement, in terms of lighting, we've seen up to about 90% accuracy in terms of being able to recognize versus having to put unknown for that respondent, which is very high.
Very high, yeah.
And I'm looking to see if there's anything else we missed.
One little quick anecdote on the accuracy. I had the opportunity to actually test it out when I was in Finland last, and I'm 44 years old. And it not correctly, I shouldn't say correctly. It pegged me at 43 years old. So I'm actually a huge fan. To get it right on the right side, close enough on the right side.
Oh, I don't want to test it knowing that. So and then we've got if we only have a touch screen. So if you have a Smiley Touch, there is a camera enabled. It's not automatically enabled, but it is a feature inside of it that can be enabled for this. So even if you have a Smiley Touch and you didn't even realize there was a camera functionality, or you've never used the camera because it's not something that's turned on, it's not something that's used normally, then you still are able to use this feature. You just have to reach out to your HappyOrNot support person and then enable it. And once it's enabled, the camera is only used for this, that falls under and is completely compliant with privacy laws. And I think that's all the questions. If you have anything else, please share. But we're going to go ahead and wrap up since it's 11:01, and we're going to go ahead and send out these slides.
Liz, just a sec. There was one important question from Franz. Is a permit required for the use of facial recognition? Can you give Victor is here with us from HappyOrNot, so he is happy to take that question. So
yeah, my apologies. I thought we kind of answered.
It's okay. Yeah, I think if he wants to further elaborate on that, we can do that.
Fine, Victor.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. So basically, the idea in terms of legal compliance is that, as this was already previously stated, it's GDPR compliant, and of course, when we talk about the specific laws in the US, like California law or Colorado or some others. So some specific states have slightly different regulations of things, but because what we currently have is, in a way, does not necessarily store or identify an individual. So there is no way technically, or not technically, whatever ways we can actually identify an individual. So we don't have to have any specific permits or things like that. If we were to have this data backed up with some other personal data, for example, your name, your email address, your phone
Right.
number, or something like that, then that would be then we would need specific consents, and then we need specific permissions and things like that. But in this case scenarios, when the demographics only, it's an estimation. So it's not possible to get it back to any specific individual saying, okay, this is a male, 45 years old, his name is James Smith or something like that, and then we're able to track him down. No, that's not actually possible. Technically, this is impossible because there are just a technical impossibility to actually get it done, because we do have the sort of vector data, but that data is kind of an estimate, and that data is kind of used just to sort of categorize you into what is the approximate, and you can see basically the age variations, and also male or female, and of course some female may have a shorter haircut, and the system might actually be able to kind of think it might actually be a male or something. So it's not kind of like a system that actually detects it. It's not the same way as if you have publicly available cameras that are scanning, that you may have heard like in China or somewhere else. That's nothing like that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Victor. Okay. And yeah, if you're interested to join our analytics training at any point, head over to our handbook, and we have links over there so you can register for more comprehensive analytics training.
Yeah.
Perfect. So look out your email tomorrow. We'll be sending the recording to you guys as well as the slides. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. If you have a second, we'd love to take one more poll. As you're wrapping up, we just want to know your feedback if you think demographics would be an interesting feature for you to use in your organization. And we will follow up with all of this information, like Nina said, within the next day. I love all the yeses we're seeing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks, everybody.